Smash the like button, y'all. Double tap that screen. As you come in, please hit the like button. Y'all know what it is. We're going to give y'all the information. We're going to give you the updates. And we're going to give you the news on what's going on with politics. Let's get down to it. Pitbull, I'm waiting on you. Let's get down to it. Subscribe to the channel. It's going to be a donation link up here, man. We spend a lot of time online every day, putting in the work, getting out this information. So all donations are welcome. I don't give a damn if it's a penny or a dime. It all helps, and I certainly appreciate it. Let's go. Here we go, man.
Thousands of former Department of Justice officials who were pretty high up the ranks as DOJ officials, they're striking back against the Trump regime and the acting Attorney General, Todd Blanch. Todd Blanch is set to have his confirmation hearing in the United States Senate. And about 1,200, I think it's going to be more than that because I think more people are joining this letter or sending letters of their own, but at least 1,200 former top DOJ officials have sent a letter to Chuck Grassley and Dick Durbin, who are the two heads of the Senate Judiciary Committee, explaining why Todd Blanch, deeply unqualified, betrayed his oath of office, and why appointing him as the actual Attorney General, not the acting, would be completely and utterly catastrophic for the rule of law. And let me just share with you this powerful letter that was sent by these 1,200 former DOJ officials. They say, "Dear Chairman Grassley and Ranking Member Durbin, we serve the public at the Department of Justice as career employees and appointees during both Republican and Democratic administrations. Regardless of how we joined the department, every one of us took an oath to support and defend the Constitution, not the occupant of the White House. That oath now compels us to speak out against the nomination of Todd Blanch for Attorney General, someone who took the same oath but has utterly failed to abide by it. In the coming weeks, many will rightly underscore the corruption and abuses that have defined the Justice Department under Todd Blanch's leadership, the vindictive prosecutions and investigations of Trump's foes, the deals designed to reward lawbreakers with taxpayer dollars, the erasure of accountability for January 6th, the mishandling of the Epstein files, and the denigration of judges and repeated violations of their orders. But we want to focus on an area that deserves just as much attention: Todd Blanch's degradation of the DOJ's apolitical career workforce. Of more than 100,000 employees at the Justice Department, 99% are career civil servants. Anyone who's worked there and through administrations of both parties knows they are the department's backbone. They are the ones who keep us safe by prosecuting violent crime, investigating drug trafficking, and countering terrorism and espionage. They keep us prosperous by enforcing antitrust laws and holding financial fraudsters accountable. They protect our fundamental freedoms by upholding civil rights laws, and they keep our elected officials honest by pursuing public corruption. Todd Blanch knows this. He served as a career DOJ prosecutor for almost a decade, but that hasn't stopped him from demonizing career employees, undermining their work, and driving them out of the department. Under Blanch's leadership, approximately 16,000 employees have left. Let me repeat that. 16,000 employees have left, and departures aren't slowing down. They include FBI agents and analysis and field offices across the country, and more than a quarter of the department's attorneys. Blanch has fired or overseen firings of hundreds of these employees, usually without notice, and for improper, unlawful reasons. Some were terminated for having worked on cases the president didn't like, for being relatives of Trump's foes, for adjudicating immigration cases in accordance with due process, for declining to initiate vindictive prosecutions, or for refusing to lie in court. These terminations violate the very civil service statutes designed to prevent corruption and political purges. Many more career employees have left on their own under Blanch's leadership, first as Deputy Attorney General, the department's chief operating officer, and more recently as the DOJ's top officials. For some, their offices were left rudderless after their managers were pushed out. Others resigned rather than follow illegal or unethical orders, or they left because they feared those orders would come. Many left because leadership abandoned or drastically scaled back their work enforcing civil rights, environmental or public corruption laws, while offices that enforced tax laws, ensured access to justice, prosecuted drug trafficking, and reduced community violence were eliminated entirely. Blanch has also overseen initiatives to pull employees away from their mission-critical work. A quarter of FBI staff were reassigned to civil immigration enforcement in the first year. FBI, DEA, and ATF agents have been diverted from their investigation into terrorism, drug trafficking, and organized crime so they could patrol the streets of Washington, D.C. Assistant United States attorneys from across the country were sent to Minneapolis and other cities to respond to protests, and many have had to adjust their dockets to defend an avalanche of immigration-related habeas cases. Not surprisingly, the department has also struggled like never before to recruit talent. Jobs that once attracted hundreds of applicants hoping to carry the badge or represent the United States in court have gone unfilled. DOJ is resorting to desperate measures, including.
Oh, yes, y'all. Michigan. Democratic nominee won Michigan. Who was that? Abdul Syed. And Michigan did the work. Michigan knew the assignment. We're going to tap into that in 1 second.
Including lowering hiring requirements for prosecution and FBI agents and offering signing bonuses and financial incentives for employees to stay. The consequences of Blanch attacks on DOJ's apolitical workforce radiate beyond the halls of Main Justice, affecting the entire country. They've meant that much of the department's vital work isn't being done or isn't being done as well, leaving communities less safe, Americans' rights less protected, and our national security more vulnerable. The culture of fear Blanch has instilled within the DOJ's workforce must end. Respect for career professionals must return. Would-be job applicants need to believe the Justice Department lives up to the virtue in its name. And instead of exhibiting fealty to the president, the Attorney General must heed John Adams' admonition that our republic remains a government of laws, not men. For the sake of the institution we were once proudly serving, we urge you to reject Todd Blanch's nomination. Let me bring in Harry Littman from the Talking Feds YouTube channel, Substack, and podcast. Now, Harry runs that channel, but he was also a former top federal prosecutor, the former United States Attorney for the Western District of Pennsylvania, a former top DOJ official in Main Justice in Washington, D.C. Now, Harry, that letter was so powerful, I didn't want to paraphrase or pick apart because our audience needs to see what people who worked for Democrats and Republicans at this scale, 1,200 of them put their name and more are joining. 16,000 have been fired or quit from the DOJ. This is devastating, Harry, and I want to get your take on it because this is an unprecedented letter, but these are unprecedented times.
I think it is an unprecedented letter, Ben, especially in its scope and enormity. It was good and right of you to read the whole letter. I don't think even the most ardent of the Midas Mighty or Fed heads would have the time for you to read the entire letter because it's the 2 pages you read, followed by 57 pages of signatures. And as you scan them, your eye falls on all kinds of prominent folks, former lawyers for Trump, people you know about in high positions, but also mainly the career staff, this is the sort of second point. it really is a way of kind of summarizing the total sea change that Blanch not only instituted, but in fact engineered. I was at the final farewell ceremony for Merrick Garland. All you heard about was career employees, the heart and soul of this institution coming to the work in order to do the right thing, giving up the money, all about justice without fear or favor. And for people who have been there, and these 1,200 are just a fraction.
Hold up, is that our good friend Ashley? Welcome to the chat, Ashley. You look familiar.
It's just true. So this has been the kind of, the numbers don't really even capture the complete denigration and evisceration of everything that is so special about the Department of Justice. The other thing I want to highlight is their last point about the culture of fear, the people who remain, and 16,000 out of 100,000 is already huge, but it's bigger than that because we know they disproportionately selected out the real counselors, the people who really had been there the longest time, and people come to. Those guys have either been forced out or put into ridiculous, marginalized, positions and hardly ever working. But not at all doing the important work of the department, so much of which has just been abandoned, like civil rights. So it really speaks volumes. But the point that comes out to me, Ben, is this really bespeaks an overall strategic kind of organization of the opposition to Blanch. In paragraph 3, I think it is, of this letter, they set out in a paragraph the things that really are going to be the focus come next Wednesday, the 15th. And, the absolutely indefensible, worst possible practice of reprisal prosecutions because the president doesn't like someone, even though it's got nothing to do with the facts and the law. Also, Blanch, they serve notice, is coming back. Also, the slush fund, other things. But then their ticket is exactly what's happened at the Department of Justice. And I think that's an aspect of Blanch's tenure that won't be front and center on the cable news, won't even be front and center for some of the senators. But for any senator, I can think of 2 or 3 who actually has been at DOJ, something like this. And they probably include.
This is actually a really smart upgrade for your laptop setup. It is a laptop stand and an 11-in-1 docking station.
This is a breaking news alert. The Midas Touch Network can officially call it. Abdul El Sayed will go on to win the Michigan Senate primary for the Democratic Party. Let me repeat this again. The Midas Touch Network can officially call Abdul El Sayed will go on to win the Michigan Senate primary, beating his opponent, Haley Stevens, who was given lots and lots of money, over $60 million by outside groups. Abdul El Sayed will go on to victory. NBC is calling it as well. Moments ago, Mallory McMorrow, who was one of the opponents in the Democratic primary, she dropped out early, leaving it as a 2-person race between Abdul El Sayed and Haley Stevens. Well, McMorrow just came out with a very strong endorsement of Abdul El Sayed after we can officially make the call that he will go on to win the Michigan Senate primary.
All right, y'all. Money out of? Money in your? Medicare for? All right, y'all. Look, I wish I could tell you that I was declaring victory right about now. Turns out it takes a long time to count some votes in Michigan. It's a big state. But I will tell you this. I want you just to reflect on what that means. Right now, we are on track to vastly outvote the historical numbers that we should have expected. And that tells you about the kind of movement